We're building the ultimate millionaire crypto portfolio.
To do this, you need the perfect blend of diversity and quality. And today, we've done that for you.
We're going to break down every top altcoin that we think could moon in the upcoming bull run that can make you rich.
Welcome to the Bean Pod. This is your place for all things stocks and crypto. From beginner tips to expert picks. Use this as fuel for your investing journey, because when you're in the know, your money will grow.
This episode of the Bean Pod is sponsored by KyberSwap.
KyberSwap is a DEX and DEX aggregator, which is built to facilitate all your DeFi needs in one single platform.
Fast, cheap, and safe.
User experience is KyberSwap's sole focus to make everyone's life better in DeFi. Welcome to the Bean Pod. This is Shane, aka the Jolly Green Investor.
This is Josh, the Nifty Investor.
Today, we're building the ultimate millionaire crypto portfolio.
To do this, you need the perfect blend of quality and diversity, from large caps to small caps, to projects in the artificial intelligence space, to real-world assets. So we're going to deep dive into a perfect blend of what we think could be the perfect portfolio if you were to put in, X amount of dollars and watch it run over the next few years.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you have $500, $1,000, $10,000, $1 million. When the next bull run comes, you need to be prepared with the perfect set of altcoins in your portfolio to really make the most of the gains that are on the table. So we're going to break down, people always ask us, what are your top 5 altcoins? What are your top 10 altcoins? What are your favorite small caps? Today, we're basically going to reveal this. So this is one of our best episodes yet to date. Make sure you watch this to the end, like and subscribe for more. But what we're going to do is kind of gloss over all the top projects, why we like them. We're going to be picking projects from all the hot narratives. And, between the blend of small caps, we're also going to sprinkle in some small cap gems from along the way. So make sure you pay attention.
So when you're doing this portfolio, we're not going to say, hey, we're going to put in $100 into this one and $200 into that one. That's for you guys to decide. You can spread your wealth accordingly across these projects, but this is how, you can imagine putting equal amount into each one, for example.
For sure.
So first one I think we could put on the list would be ICP, yeah? Internet Computer by Definity.
Yep, 100%.
ICP is a protocol that allows computers to connect with one another in a decentralized manner, eliminating the middleman. This project has 300 full-time developers. We've done a full standalone episode on this project.
Yep.
A lot of the tokens have been sent out to the venture capitalists into circulation. We're now approaching that time where I think we could start to see real world mass adoption, and it's being so heavily discussed on all the socials, on Twitter, you see on TikToks, etc.
Yep.
This thing can moon.
Yeah, so the reason we like ICP and we've really warmed up to it over the past few months is, one, they have maybe the grandest vision out of any layer one in crypto. Their technology potentially stands out from the rest as the most innovative, the fastest, the cheapest, the ecosystem that could really explode the fastest. And one thing we like about ICP, and you'll see this as a trend for a lot of the coins we've picked for this portfolio, it has never mooned before. We don't, when you look at bull run to bull run to bull run, projects that have their all-time highs in the previous bull run are not guaranteed to reach an all-time high from the next one. So you're probably not going to find an avalanche or a V-chain on our perfect bull run portfolio, right? But what you're going to find is projects that have been lost in the hype, launched in the last bull run, but never really saw a hype or a cycle or a mooner at all. These are the projects you need to look at because they have fresh opportunities to find price discovery and reach all-time highs. Now, when it comes to ICP, as you said, they've got a massive team, a ton of money in the bank, and it's still early days for their ecosystem. In that Truth About ICP episode, we touched about how their ecosystem is not as big as other projects, but you have to have layer one projects, layer one altcoins in your portfolio. And we're looking at ones where their ecosystems are just about to explode, right?
Yeah, I believe they had a massive presence. There was a conference in China, and we had the standalone episode about the Chinese altcoins that you need to check out. They had a huge presence at this Web3 conference. So I think ICP could be one that really sees a lot of tailwinds moving forward.
100%. All right, next we're gonna continue along with the, when you're building your ultimate millionaire crypto portfolio for the bull run, you want some L1s, some L2s, some layer zeros, as you said, all the different narratives. So we'll stick with L1s for now. And another layer one, if you follow us, it's a no secret that we like this one, is HBAR, Hedera Hashgraph.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is one of the greenest cryptos out there. The governing council, I think, pretty much says it all. When you got Google, Boeing, LG, you have to understand that this is one of the greatest sales teams in the world. You have to understand that a Google will have thousands of customers underneath them. If Google starts to implement using Hedera Hashgraph technology, guess who else is going to be using it? The thousands of customers below them. So when you have they're taking businesses from every sector and industry in the world. You know, they're focusing on supply chain. You know, they're doing everything, and I think Hedera is by far one of the best.
And so this is another one where we really haven't seen the growth of the ecosystem yet. So I think you're still, even though the token has been around for a while, it did have a nice run in the last bull run, but we're only just starting to see these partners roll out Hedera and HBAR in their ecosystems. I think we saw LG, they started to implement some HBAR Hedera stuff in their TVs with an NFT wallet. You know, you're going to start to see, as you said, Boeing, LG, Google, all these huge, you know, IBM. You know, there was even talks about potentially bringing Microsoft into the fold. You're going to start to see these partners start to integrate HBAR and Hedera services into their eventual Web3 offerings. And there's two other things I want to mention about HBAR, which are more timely, which makes me like them even more. One, their recent partnership with LCX, which is bringing them into the CBDC and real-world asset tokenization narratives, two narratives which we think could become huge in the coming years. And you're also starting to see the ecosystem grow in terms of the Hashpack wallet. We saw a Launchpad come out. We see Saucer Swap, the DEX come out. So you're starting to see some ecosystem projects launch. And once you have that spine, that foundation in the ecosystem, DEX, Launchpad, wallet, all that kind of stuff, then you can really start to see the projects being built and the ecosystem flourish. So I think the time is still right for HBAR to be added to that ultimate portfolio.
And I was watching an interview with a lot of their executives and the way that they're spending their money. So their marketing dollars is going towards attracting developers, and it's not going to retail-facing investors like ourselves. So I like the way that they're spending their money. They also have that $5 billion HBAR development grant or that fund. That's huge for developing everything within that ecosystem. It's also ISO 20022 compliant as well, which we could see as another narrative when that picks up again, whether it's cross-border payments, et cetera, right?
So 100%. All right, what's next on your list?
So I think we have to add Quant from a business interoperability perspective. You know, there's no other player in the space that quite operates the way Quant does. And when we have the CBDC narrative pick up again, and you're going to have different banks creating their own blockchain systems. You're also going to have all of Web3 operating underneath, you know, maybe a Casper or a Hedera, and they all need to communicate with one another. So the only way to do that is to use Quant, who with 3 lines of code and its proprietary tech, to be that interconnected platform. And they're excellent circulating to max supply ratio. They're all in circulation as well with only 14 million tokens.
Yeah, so when you're building your ultimate crypto portfolio, it's like building a fantasy sports team or a real sports team. You want different players that can do different things. So, you know, we've already started talking about the layer 1 ecosystems that we like and the layer 1 coins. This Quant is a layer 0. So Quant is such a unique project in that it connects every other project, right? And it doesn't really have a ton of competitors. I think Quant is operating in such a unique space and is built for enterprise adoption. And they've already gone through the NVIDIA Accelerator program. They've already worked with AWS. They're building something that is going to be adopted by enterprises quickly. And I think in the next phase of the bull run, you're going to see big companies publicly enter the Web3 and crypto space. And the Quant Overledger, like you said, it's easy to use, couple of lines of code. It connects everything, has great tokenomics. And again, going back to narratives, we talked about this in one of our updates on Quant maybe a month or two ago. They partner with UST to start to get into the CBDC and tokenization of real-world asset space, the space that we saw BlackRock say could be worth trillions in the markets. So Quant is not only operating in a great sector, layer 0, has great partnerships, but is moving into these hot narratives. So it ticks all the boxes for me.
They also have that QRC token for NFT tokenization interoperability as well, which I think will also be an absolutely massive sector to pump.
Yeah, Quant is making moves, and I like it.
Yep.
All right, let's stick along this similar line of L1s, L0s, and let's go to Casper. Yeah, so Casper, you know, this is another altcoin that we did a truth about. We did a truth about Casper Labs. This is a very unique layer 1. It's a next-gen layer 1, again, and this is a theme you'll see with a lot of our altcoins, built for enterprise. This is built for big money companies, public companies that are going to need blockchain and Web3 technology. And the reason it is built for that way and why we talk about this is because it has future-proof smart contracts. So if you're going to move your business from Web 2 to Web 3 and you're deploying a massive server, which is running billions of dollars of transactions, and you build these smart contracts and you make a mistake or you need to change it after it's deployed, on traditional smart contracts, there's going to be some downtime. You're going to have to do a fork. Very labor intensive, risky, and as I said, downtime. But with Casper and future-proof smart contracts, you can change the smart contracts after they've been deployed, which means you can make changes while it's running after version 1 is out, after version 2 is out. And this, to me, makes Casper stand out.
It's absolutely massive, especially being a Web 2 business, thinking about how scary Web 3 can be. You want to be able to make these changes and these transitions if needed. Again, Casper has a chart that, maybe looks like an ICP, has never really seen a pump. However, a majority of their tokens are now in circulation. So this would be a time. This has actually been one of the ones tokens that has actually performed quite well, while Bitcoin has also been pumping because not all altcoins have been. And Casper's been doing extremely well.
Yeah. So I think when we talk about ICP, it never pumped. Casper never pumped. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for projects that have been swallowed up under the hype of all the other altcoins that pumped in the last bull run and haven't seen their time to shine. That's where we're looking. So if you look at that Casper chart, it's the same as ICP, as you said. That's what we like. And then when you look at who Casper has been working with, they just joined the IBM Partner Program.
Yeah.
They've worked with AWS and Amazon for cloud partnership in the past. And I think we touched upon this in the Truth About Casper episode. Because they're working with enterprise companies and public companies, a lot of their massive partnerships would be under NDAs. So you don't know what they got going on in the background. I think they've probably got some massive partnerships that could provide huge catalysts for the Casper token to run in the next bull run.
Again, I like to further research. I like to watch interviews with the executives behind the scenes and what they're doing. And he alluded to the fact that they have a ton of billion-dollar businesses in the pipeline. They just can't announce it yet due to these NDAs. The moment they start to announce these partnerships and these contracts is when Casper will absolutely melt faces.
And I think Casper has a pretty heavy presence in China as well, with some Chinese companies. They already have partnerships with some public Chinese companies, and we've been talking about this potential China narrative, so Casper could benefit from that as well.
Looking for a layer 1 with a low market cap, this thing could do a 60x, 90x if it reaches like something like a Solana's market cap.
It's not even on Binance yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, Casper's got a lot of room to run, and it's still very slept on. Like, not a lot of people are talking about Casper.
No, absolutely.
All right, what do you got next on your list?
I think we could look at Mina Protocol. Look in more like that ZK privacy side of things.
Yep.
The world's lightest blockchain. They're using ZK snarks. So it maximizes scalability. This is something that you want to see from a mass adoption perspective. So you want it to be lightweight. You want it to be fast. You need that to happen. And we've done a few episodes about Mina and why we think it's so special. I think that technology, and whenever you see that ZK, the zero knowledge proof narrative kind of hit Twitter, kind of hit the socials, Mina is one of the OGs and one of the top players in this space.
Yep.
And I think it has a lot of room to run.
And yeah, so Mina is another one. So you're now starting to see how we look at these things. Mina is another one that had a hyped up launch, like ICP, never pumped in the last bull run. Now all the tokens are kind of getting into circulation. So now you can start to see that price appreciation. And as Josh said, the zero knowledge narrative is going to be one of the things that shapes the next bull run. And a quick rundown of what zero knowledge is, an example of what Mina can do. So you can share your proof of data without sharing your data. So if you're looking for a mortgage or an insurance, you can, using Mina Protocol or another ZK roll-up or whatever, you can show that you're eligible to get the mortgage or that you have the good financial qualifications without revealing your vulnerable financial data. That's zero knowledge or proof of data, right? So Mina is one of the OGs in that. We've had one of the team members for an interview on our podcast. We know that Mina has tons of developers and they have been heads down building during this bear market. They've got some really cool things in the pipeline, and it's one of the most probably unique technologies out there. They've also got that Oracle function where it can kind of almost become a competitor to Chainlink, where it's providing data again with zero knowledge. They've also got that private universal login.
Like MetaMask,
yeah. So Mina has a lot of cool things, and it's being slept on. Again, people are not talking about Mina. When we're putting together this perfect crypto portfolio, we're not picking Solanas and Avalanches, things that people have already heard everything about. The hype train is over, old technology. we're looking at new technology that hasn't been hyped yet that could do massive gains in the next bull run.
Yeah, absolutely. And when they have security, apparently superior to Ethereum as well, you got to keep this project top of mind, because we know that their money's going towards development right now. It's not going towards marketing at this stage. So you want teams that are building, because when the product launches and you see the real world adoption, that's when the price flies.
And, as you said at the start of this little Mina segment, it's the world's lightest blockchain, 22 kilobytes, the whole blockchain. And I truly believe the blockchains that will win out in the end will be the green coins. Mina is greener than most of them.
Absolutely, yes.
Yep. All right, so let's kind of keep along the privacy security standpoint and move into another project that we really like, and that's going to be included in our perfect crypto millionaire portfolio, and that's Oasis Network, ROSE token. So this is it's a privacy and security token, right? It's probably the leading privacy-enabled scalable layer 1 blockchain. What we like about this one is not only is it in this privacy narrative, but they've worked with some of the biggest companies in the world. They've worked with Meta. They've worked with Binance, BMW Group, to provide these. It's like a layer in between vulnerable consumer data and then what companies want to output, but keeping vulnerable data safe and private.
Safeguarding personal information. And the fact that Facebook, Meta has used this, what happens when Twitter eventually announces that they're using it? I know there's some rumblings of some big name companies that are going to be announcing that they're using Oasis Network. I also love that they have that $235 million Oasis ecosystem fund. When you find projects that have this type of money in the bank to be moving the system forward, man, that speaks volumes about the direction that they're heading. They also have this massive university program. They partner with over 25 top universities to further enable its mission of building a responsible data economy, from Berkeley, Oxford, Cambridge. You have the top minds in the world working on this.
Yeah. And one of the things I really like about Oasis Network is they've created this whole tokenization of data narrative. There's been a lot of talk in the world about, taking control of your own data after what we saw what happened with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. Well, Oasis Network is developing a platform where you can actually take control of your own data that you allow social networks and search engines to use, and profit from that by, if you want to use my data, which is now tokenized in the form of NFTs by Oasis Network, I want a little bit of cut. I want a cut of it. So if you can tokenize your own data, and that works across not only the individual level, but also the business level, this is kind of, the whole Web3 creator economy is all about everyone gets a piece of the pie, right? As opposed to one company just taking everyone's everything and making all the profit. By tokenizing your own data through Oasis Network, we could start to see kind of a level playing field in terms of this data economy. And data is the new oil, right? So if you're going to look at something like Oasis Network that's making inroads into the data economy via the blockchain, it's another feather in their cap.
And this is a billion/trillion dollar industry. And as more Web 2 businesses enter Web 3, and we all know as Web 3 users, as Web 3 advocators, that privacy is so important. If you're a Web 2 business stepping into Web 3 and you're not focusing on that, guess what? You're not going to see that same adoption that a lot of these other companies are. So all these big companies at some point are going to have to come onto the blockchain, into Web 3, and they're going to have to use something like an Oasis Network.
Yep, I like it. All right, we're running down the list now. What do we got next?
Next, I think we need to add an artificial intelligence play. You could look at a Fetch AI. I think we've chosen AGIX, SingularityNET.
Yep.
This had an ICO that sold out in 1 minute, $36 million. So people are hungry for this. What I like about this project, and we've discussed this in our AI episode, is that this is the same team that pioneered the development of one of the very first and most recognizable AIs out there, and that's Sophia, which is described as the world's most expressive robot. They have an excellent team. This is the first platform that makes it easy for developers to sell their AI models to other people. They can thus use it, and it's a beautiful marketplace that will really push the AI projects forward.
Yeah, so this is the world's leading decentralized AI marketplace. And, as we always preach on this show, it's all about narratives. And AI is going to dominate the world from now on, and is going to be a dominant narrative in the upcoming crypto bull run. So you have to have an AI coin in your portfolio. And one of the things that we always say to look for is, within narratives, what are the best performing coins? Now, in the AI mini bull run we saw from December to February, SingularityNET, Ajax was the top performing coin. It performed better than Fetch AI. It performed better than a lot of these other coins. So that's why, it's still in that like mid cap zone. So it's not a small cap gem, but it's clear that the money flew into Ajax. So yeah, I think if you're going to look for, I think one of the other cool things about Ajax is they have a deep link to some other projects such as Cardano, who has, I think they put like $1 million worth of ADA tokens into Ajax. So they're working with big names. I mean, they got some deep connections there. There's a reason why it outperformed Fetch AI by like a scale of 3x, right? So there's stuff going on.
What I really like is their collaboration with Hanson Robotics. It's a massive robotics company. And so they released a joint venture known as Awakening Health. And what they're going to do is they're developing a product that leverages AI for healthcare. So they've created this, how they had Sophia, the really expressive robot. They've now created something called Grace. It's a humanoid assistant for the healthcare industry. When you see headlines of people stepping out of the healthcare industry, I think the healthcare industry is really going to struggle with an aging workforce, with an aging population, less people in that workforce. I think we're going to need artificial intelligence to kind of pick up the slack. And this could be one of the projects that really, niches itself into that.
Yeah, 100%. So we've gone through some layer ones, layer zeros. We've gone into privacy, security, ZK, AI. So now we can move into, this is probably the coin in our perfect portfolio that has the smallest market cap as it stands right now. And that's Morpheus Network. So Morpheus Network is, it's kind of on the borderline of a small cap gem, but the reason we've chosen to include Morpheus Network in our perfect millionaire crypto portfolio is we have a very high conviction in this project. This is a supply chain management project, which even at a small market cap is integrated, partnered, and working with some of the biggest companies in the world, whether it be DHL, FedEx, UPS, Swift, Microsoft, Oracle, and most recently, Coca-Cola. So Morpheus Network, I think supply chain management has been a hot topic ever since COVID, and I think it's going to continue to be something that, for me, blockchain just solves supply chain management so easily. I mean, not easily, but it's a very natural integration, isn't it?
Yeah, all their tokens are in circulation, which is great, like a Quant, and they were just accepted and are now working with the Google Accelerator program for AI. I like to watch these interviews, etc. I know that they've done a lot of work for Coca-Cola, and they're seeing tremendous output now from the supply chain aspect with Coca-Cola. They have, he was saying that they have 10 more $1 billion plus companies in the pipeline to start using Morpheus Network moving forward. They're already they have integrations with FedEx, UPS, Purelator, etc., the biggest names in transports and logistics. So I know that they're also doing $1 million in revenue a year. It's one of the few projects that actually generates revenue to help validate its market cap.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick pitch on Morpheus Network and why we like it so much. When you're sending products, all physical goods around the world, a supply chain management on the blockchain means that it can't be falsified where it came from and where it is, because it's the blockchain. You can't fuck with it. Traditional stuff, say you have organic avocados in the grocery store. Well, they're not really organic. Someone just slapped the label. But with Morpheus Network has these QR codes that are on all the boxes, and you scan it to their Morpheus Network platform and blockchain, and it can't be tampered with. It shows you exactly where everything is and where it came from. And that's why all these big companies are starting to see the value of this, because it's a one-stop solution that's already integrated with the biggest partners in the world. And the $70 million market cap, this is a much riskier coin than a lot of the ones we mentioned earlier, but higher risk, high reward.
Yeah, but that's how you make your millions, right? You find low-cap gems, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, all right. What else do we have on the list here?
Well, we need to have a metaverse play, I think, as well. I think the metaverse is being slept on, but there's one, maybe two projects out there that are really making a difference, and we know firsthand because we've actually experimented with it and tried it out ahead of time, and that's Utherverse. Token hasn't launched yet, but when it does, this will be in my portfolio as much as I can possibly accumulate of it, and that'll be under the ticker UTHX.
Yeah, so another thing that you have to understand in future bull runs, the next bull run, a lot of the tokens that will have the largest percent gains haven't launched yet. They're new tokens and new narratives that really people aren't talking about yet because the projects aren't live. Fortunately, we've been covering Utherverse for a while now. We've had the founder, Brian Schuster, on the podcast for an interview. This is something that we continue to watch, even though no one else is talking about it because the token hasn't launched yet. However, when you compare the Utherverse metaverse to all the other metaverse projects in the crypto industry, this one blows it out of the water. You know, it's not like a cartoony Lego graphics like Decentraland or the Sandbox, which have billion-dollar market caps. It's a real-world metaverse where people can hang out with real-world characters and do real-world things. Go to the bar, meet people, go on dates, go to concerts where it's real. And they've been building this metaverse for over 17 years. And the Web 2 version of the Utherverse has already processed billions of transactions, hosted millions of events and weddings and all kinds of stuff. These guys know what they're doing.
This platform has done more weddings in their Web 2 version than Decentraland and the Sandbox have active users combined.
Yeah.
Take that in.
Yeah.
Patent protected. I think there's over 40 different patents. So every other metaverse here on out is going to have to be going through Utherverse, whether they like it or not, because Brian has all the patents. And there's a lot of work that goes into creating these metaverses. And with his physics mind and his physics background, guy's a genius. There's so much that goes into, you don't just strap on a headset and then start walking around and it's perfect. You have to factor in how many people you can have in a room for the size. You know, when you move your head around, are you going to get sick? Like there's all these things that you have to figure out. And these new businesses coming out like Decentra and the Sandbox, you can't just figure out in 2 years. It takes time. And this is going to be, I think, one of the biggest metaverses and one of the only metaverses that you need to have your eye on.
Yeah, and we always talk about narratives again and again and again. And I think with Metaverse, you're going to see a lot of things that are going to be catalysts to see the Metaverse narrative reappear and take over the world again. And I think a few of those things would be Apple potentially launching their own VR and AR device in the coming months or to a year, which could time out perfectly with the bull run. You're also seeing a lot of companies like Google, Microsoft, Zoom. They're all starting to bring in this VR metaverse applications into their workplace software. So I think you're going to see workplace metaverse stuff really take off. And there's billions, if not trillions of dollars in that industry. And also, with new technology, a lot of people can't handle it because one, it's too clunky and it's too expensive. I think you're going to see the price of VR headsets come down dramatically, which makes it more accessible to the average consumer. And also the rise in 5G and internet speeds is going to be integral for mass adoption of the metaverse. So you're going to see cheaper devices and faster internet, which is going to help with metaverse. Plus all these announcements, Utherverse could be in the catbird seat for when the metaverse comes back, and we need it in our portfolio.
And you need to understand there's going to be billions of dollars of advertising occurring within these metaverses. And when you have a leading metaverse, that's where all the advertising dollars are going to be, hence jacking up its market cap. I think that the metaverse saw a bit of a die-off because everybody knows Meta, everybody knows Facebook. And when they saw how shitty their metaverse looked, it's like, okay, the metaverse isn't happening.
Yeah.
It looks like shit. All it takes is the right project to come along, which will then spark the metaverse narrative again.
For sure. I like it. All right. So that's kind of our list of large caps and mid caps that we would include in our perfect millionaire crypto portfolio. And we do have some small cap gems to discuss for you guys that would, you have to balance out your portfolio with some small cap gems because that's where you can see the 50, 100Xs, right? But before we talk about the small cap gems, let's just have a quick discussion about where Bitcoin and Ethereum fit in someone's perfect portfolio.
Absolutely. So I think with Ethereum, definitely needs to be on there. It's the number 2 biggest crypto by market cap. It's the one it's a household name. Everybody knows about it. Thousands of dApps are being built on it. It's everything. Layer 2s are being built around this thing.
Yep.
And I think with the Shanghai upgrade that just recently occurred, now institutional investors can do liquid staking. So they don't have to have a lockup period. So previous to this Shanghai upgrade, you had to have your Ethereum staked and then it was locked for X amount of time, a long time. Institutional players during risky times like we're seeing now don't want to have billions, if not millions of dollars locked up into a platform and being unable to take it out. Now that they can just stake it for 3 to 8% yield and withdraw whenever they want, I think this could see a lot of institutional adoption moving forward.
Yeah, definitely Ethereum has a place there. And in terms of Bitcoin, I think the proof is in the pudding. Over the past few months since 2023 started, we've seen Bitcoin outperform almost every other altcoin. So you can't just say, oh, you'll never make any money with Bitcoin. Well, if you had your entire portfolio in Bitcoin in 2023, you'd have more gains than someone that had their entire portfolio in most large cap altcoins. So Bitcoin does have a place in your perfect millionaire crypto portfolio, but it's more of something that you want to rotate in and out of. Most bull runs start with a Bitcoin bull run. Bitcoin will outperform almost every altcoin at the start and in different cycles of bull runs. So I think you have to have some Bitcoin to start. And then as you start to see the Bitcoin dominance rise to astronomical levels, you filter the Bitcoin into the coins we just discussed, right? As the cycles go, Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins. So I'm never going to sit here and say, hold a ton of Bitcoin, 50% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. But it's something you need to be aware of, that Bitcoin will lead bull runs. And there are periods of months and months and months where Bitcoin will outperform your altcoins. So you need to have some of it in your portfolio to rotate in and out of.
Yeah, like I view Bitcoin as a store of value, and I think a lot of other bigger players and smart people who understand math, like, for example, we're seeing the banking crisis. People don't know where to turn to. So where are you going to put your money? You can put in a bank that's going to start using withdrawals, or start using your deposits like we're seeing in Argentina right now? Mm-hmm. No. Are you going to put in a bank that's not insured? No. So where are you going to put your money? Into real estate? Well, the real estate market is now seeing a huge sell-off, and there's huge interest rates. So where's the safest place to put it? Globally, Bitcoin. So for me, I would say whatever Bitcoin you do accumulate, just hold on to it for the next 50 years. I personally own one Bitcoin. I'm just never going to sell. I'm just going to hold on to it forever.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of narratives that are leading Bitcoin into kind of its own little world. So you can never forget about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time for the part of the episode that everyone loves, the small cap gems, baby.
Well, these are like some projects that I think they just haven't really been discussed a lot. And I think these are the ones that could really see some absolute massive explosions in price, and, plug them into your portfolio wherever you want here and as much as you want into these. But, for one, what we could say, like the Hello token.
Yeah. So Hello is, it's a small cap gem. We've been on it from the start. It's performed very well this year, but it's still very much a sleeping giant. It's leading the way in Web3 entertainment. They got the Killer Whale show coming out. They've got Crypto Cribs coming out. They've got games coming out. They're building this whole Web3 entertainment sector with one of the strongest and most passionate teams we've seen in crypto. And the market cap is still like 40, 50 million.
Yeah.
So you could see a 10x. You could see a 50x from this thing.
And it's ridiculous in terms of the partnerships that they keep announcing. Like they're big name partnerships.
Yeah.
Like every time they make an announcement, the thing spikes like 40%.
Universal Music Group, Sony. We got a whole bunch more in the pipeline.
Altcoin Daily, who has like 2.2 million subscribers. So you have to think about the amount of eyes they're going to be getting there.
Yep.
And I can assure you that they're going to be having more announcements to come.
For sure. All right. What other small cap gems would you have on your list?
There's another one I think that got overlooked because they had a bit of a hack, I think, with their token address. So I'd be looking at Alliance Block. Now trades under ticker NXRA. Used to be ALBT. Basically, they have one of the most insane partner lists out there. They're partnered with Quant. They're partnered with Hedera. Every big name out there. And they're essentially just creating the bridge between traditional finance and DeFi. And you're gonna need that bridge to start onboarding these Web2 companies. And I think this one could be a banger.
Yeah, I like that 100%. Another one kind of along similar lines in terms of partnerships and narratives is LCX.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we've talked about LCX. We identified that one before it absolutely ripped. Maybe about 2 or 3 months ago. And this is in the tokenization of assets and CBDC narrative. These guys are working with the World Economic Forum. They're working with governments. They're partnered with HBAR. Still a very, very small market cap for LCX. I think like maybe 20 or 30 million. So yeah, this is something that you'd need to have on your watch list.
Another one I would put on there would be BitTensor. Basically, it has a $1 billion market cap, supply of 21 mil. Like Bitcoin, this is a decentralized infrastructure for machine intelligence that is secure, efficient, and accessible to all. And it's basically a sharing of AI models. Not many people are talking about this. It's only on MXC at the moment. I think that's done for a reason. But this one I would definitely put in my portfolio and hold a bit of it because I think it's going to be an absolute monster.
I like it. So 2 small cap gems I want to mention here. Now, if you're watching this episode and you listen to all the large cap altcoins we liked, the different areas, L1, L0, all that, you might say, where's your exposure to layer 2s? Because layer 2s have been a big narrative in crypto and I think will continue to be. But what I'm going to do with our perfect portfolio here, instead of putting Arbitrum or Optimism tokens in our portfolio, I'm going to pick 2 small cap gems, one from each ecosystem.
Okay.
So we're going to go with Radiant, which is the Arbitrum small cap gem I like. This is like the Aave of the Arbitrum ecosystem. Still a very small market cap, but You know, Arbitrum at its root is a DeFi ecosystem. It's all about buying, selling, trading, liquidity, lending, and Radiant is at the center of this. Just got listed on Binance, still very slept on. And then for Optimism, I'm going to pick Velodrome. It's the top DEX and launchpad in the Optimism ecosystem. So between Arbitrum and Optimism, that's like 90% of all L2 transactions on Ethereum. And I think they're going to still do well, but I see the risk to reward as better for these two small caps, Radium and Velodrome. So I'm going to put them in our small cap area.
Yeah, no, I like that you brought those up because we haven't done that layer 2 podcast, and I think it's important to highlight those for sure.
Yep.
The last two I got, one would be XYO. I think this one is, this one for location data is pretty freaking incredible.
Yep.
Only has a market cap, I believe, of 70 million. And this could save businesses billions of dollars. We'll do a standalone episode on this one, I think, because it just ticks so many boxes from a supply chain perspective and all this geo tracking. It's such a unique project.
Yep.
So XYO I'd put on there. And the last one, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you know, I've been big on Zen, Zen Crypto, XEN. All those plays I mentioned on Twitter up like 10x.
Yep.
It's fair principles protocols. It's deployed on every single chain. So you can build on Avalanche, you can build on Binance, you can build on Ethereum. There's no venture capitalists. There's no backdoor entries. There's none of this. It's fair launch crypto, fair principles. It has so far been one of my best performers of the year. And I think there needs to be some exposure to Zen now that the protocol has only just gone live. It's, I think, like 3 weeks in, and the thing's rocketing.
I like it. So one last one, it's like a small mid cap that I've really started to do research into, is called Aleph0. A0 is the token. Haven't seen a ton of people talk about this one. It was a relatively hyped up launch, but again, never got pumped in the bull run, kind of got lost in the weeds of the bear market. But this is another ZK privacy security based token. And I just think that it's kind of like Mina Protocol, but maybe even further along in terms of technology. But yeah, no one's talking about A0, so I think it's like a small mid-cap ZK coin that I think deserves a spot in our little portfolio here.
Absolutely. So this is, the perfect blend from all the different sectors, all the different narratives. It's a little bit of a longer episode, but it provides you with the way that we think, and it shows you the way that we would diversify our portfolio because, I hold a lot of these projects, you hold a lot of these projects, and it's the type of plays that if you just plunked, let's say you could put 5% of your portfolio in each one and you just left it there for 5 years, you'd be doing, in my opinion, not financial advice, quite well for yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the same way when I invested in Bitcoin in 2016 and Ethereum in 2017. I just put my money in there. I left, didn't watch the price every single day, and then looked back at it 5 years later and I was laughing. Yeah,
100%. So now I want to put it to you guys, the viewers who we love. Let's see your version of the perfect millionaire crypto portfolio. So in the comments, put a bunch of tickers that you would hold in your perfect portfolio. And when we go through, we'll rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, and you can kind of see and get everyone else's opinion on your portfolio.
Absolutely. So, hey, if you guys like this episode, smash the like button, subscribe, and then tune into the next episode.
Because that one is going to be a banger.
All views expressed by speakers on the BeanPod are solely their opinions. You should not treat any opinion expressed on the BeanPod as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a specific strategy, but only as an expression of their opinion. This podcast is for informational purposes only.